Welcome to Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated. I'm your host, King Simon. In this episode, you will learn how to connect numbers to the letters in your name and how to calculate them to get a better understanding of the vibration of that name and the numbers that are connected. Are you ready? All right, let's begin. It was once said by Charles Caleb Cotton, the inheritance of a distinguished and noble name is a proud inheritance to him or her who lives worthy of it. Charles Caleb Colton was born December 11, 1777, died April 28, 1832. He was an English cleric, writer, and collector. Now, did you know that our names and our numbers from a simple perspective can reveal and sometimes conceal our inheritance, overall inner and outer expression of who we are and what gifts, talents, and skills we may have come here with. And many of us run away from our gifts, talents, and skills due to the lack of guidance from our family and the fearful mind control of society. Like the late great Teddy Pendergrass said, "You can't hide from yourself. Everywhere you go, there you are." Then he goes on to say, "The truth is the light, a light shining within. When you look in the mirror, do you see a foe or a friend?" Now that's a very powerful lyrics that reminds us of why it is important to find out who we are in this realm, and the numbers connected to your name and your birthday can be of assistance. Now, according to numerology, the first name is called the active name. This is the name you are actively known by amongst your family, friends, and this is usually the name you are comfortable with sharing with the world and anywhere else. The middle name is called the bridge name. This name can be interchangeable with the first name, and it is the name that bridged the gap between the first and the last name. Note, some people have more than one middle name, but remember, the more names you have, the more numbers you have, and the numbers have a vibration and a frequency connected. The last name is called the hereditary name because you may have inherited some traits, gifts, and ancestral vibration from that last name, which can come from one of your parents, or you may have taken on another name due to marriage or adoption. Whatever way you receive the name or names, it is all connected to numbers, frequencies, patterns, and cycles. Here are some of the basic definitions of what your name offers. First, expression number. Your expression number is derived from the numbers that corresponds to the letters in your full name, and it reveals the gifts, talents, skills, and abilities instilled in you at birth. And this is sometimes referred to as your potential or destiny number. Second, soul urge or heart's desire number. This number is derived from the vowels in your full birth name. It represents your inner you, inner craving, likes, and dislikes, which are usually kept private until revealed by yourself or any others. Third, personality or outer expressive number. This number is derived from the consonants in your full name and your full birth name. This number reveals the outer you, your surface traits, how you like to show yourself, and how you tend to act with other people. Note, there are other various ways and application of using numbers pertaining to the name, but for now, we will keep it simple and keep it moving. Here are some simple, positive interpretation of the numbers you can connect to the name. The number one, if it adds up to a number one, or you have a lot of ones in your name, that means you could be individualistic, assertive, determined, pioneering, bold, independent, active, self-confidence. Number two, if you have a lot of twos in your name or your name adds up to the two, could be cooperative, sensitive, adaptive, passive, diplomatic, peaceful, and warm. How about the number three? The number three, if you have a lot of threes in your name or it adds up to the number three, that's expressive, imaginative, sociable, jovial, positive, optimistic, artistic. The number 4, if you have a lot of 4s in your name or your name adds up to the number 4, that means you could be traditional, organized, self-disciplined, steady, logical, practical, helpful, loyal, and reliable. The number 5, if you have a lot of 5s in your name or you have the name that add up to the number 5, and usually 5 is one of those numbers that usually appears in somebody's name a lot of times. But if you have a lot of 5 deals with adventure, energetic, free thinker, curious, being a visionary, magnetic, expansive. And if you have a lot of 6 or your name adds up to the number 6, that deals with responsibility, being responsible, proactive, stable, balanced, loving, compassionate, a healer, and a teacher. Let's say your name adds up to the number 7, or you have a lot of 7s in your name. That deals with spirituality, intelligence, analytical, reserved, knowledgeable, mysterious, intuitive, and introspective. And before I move on, I want to talk about that 7 for a quick second, because I remember in movie history, one of the greatest persons that was a detective or a secret agent in history was 007. Interesting enough, because James Bond himself, one of the most successful James Bond, Mr. Sean Connery, was born August the 25th. 2 + 5 = 7. Think about that. And Ian Fleming, who wrote the series, the name Ian in the Chaldean system adds up to the number 7. Interesting enough, just to show you how 7 is very powerful, that just dealing with that name alone, and that number. But if you're born with the number 8 connected to your name and you have a lot of 8s in your name, the 8 represents being ambitious, successful, realistic, powerful, authoritative, courageous, loyal, and leading in whatever you do. And the number 9, if you have a lot of 9s in your chart or your name adds up to the 9, 9 represents being a humanitarian, self-sacrificing, idealistic, giving, inspirational, devoted, romantic, and willpower. As the master numbers, now like the 11, the 22, and the 33, 11 is the master revealer. So if your name adds up to the master number 11, that's the master revealer, one who is charismatic, inspiring, dreamy, sixth-sensed, and discerning. With the master number 22, and if your name adds up to a master number 22, the qualities of being a master builder, a master architecture, a master visionary, a successful leader, innovative, and a genius is also connected to 22. The last but not least, but master number 33 is known as the master healers, the master teachers, the anointed service, the youthful imagination, expression. Now, before I move on, remember each one of those master numbers are very powerful numbers to hold, whether it's your name or your birthday. And I always tell my clients that master numbers are not the easiest numbers to hold on to or handle, because with great power comes great responsibility. And those master numbers come with a lot of power. Look at people like the late, great Sam Cooke, born on the 22nd, or the one, the only Terrence Howard, born on the 11th of March. When you look at those lifestyles and what they carry with those master numbers is not easy. And I'm only talking about the master numbers because those are high frequency numbers that are doubled. And anytime you see a master numbers, pay attention to their power, because people connected to the master numbers, whether it's in their name or their birthday, can go through a lot of problems if their parents did not guide them from young to handle that master number. Now, let's connect a number to each letter in the names like Kwame, Lillian, and Oprah, using 2 known systems, the Pythagorean, which is modern, easier, and the Phatic symbol, that's the Phatic method that they use. Also the Chaldean, older, harder, mystical symbol, sounds. It uses symbols and sounds. Now the name Kwame In the Pythagorean system, adds up to the number 17, which equals the number 8, which 17 in the Chaldean system represents legacy, one who is supposed to leave their name after they pass on. Their name is supposed to be left behind, which equates to the number 8, and 8 is the number of authority and power, money and finance, and learning how to recognize assets and liabilities. Now, in the Chaldean system, the name Kwame, again, adds up to the number 18 this time. But look, 18 in the Chaldean system of symbolism deals with the moon. If you look at tarot, that means the 18 represents a sensitivity that one has, that name. That's also says that they are able to either be creative and make money even during pandemics, during wars and upheaval. That's what the 18 in the symbolism of the Chaldean means. And number 9 deals with completion, humanitarian, being of service to humanity. So whatever they do is not how much they know, it's how much they care. Now, the name Lillian. Lillian adds up to the number 33 in the Pythagorean. And remember, 33 is the master healer, the master teacher, the one who comes with an imagination. And it adds up to the number 6, which deals with healing, teaching, guiding, being of service to people on that loving aspect of life. That's the name Lillian in the Pythagorean. Now, in the Chaldean, notice there's a difference. That's why I always tell people that are studying this type of system, you got to learn how to use all of the number system so you can get a full picture of it. So the Chaldean system, the name Lillian adds up to 17, which also deals with leaving a legacy, leaving something behind, and it equals to the number 8, which also deals with authority and, of course, money. But now let's look at Oprah. The name Oprah adds up to a number 31 in the Pythagorean system and a number 5 in the Chaldean system, which is interesting because 31 deals with creativity and being a leader, and the only way they can be a leader is by being creative, because the 3 is the leading number in that 30 sequence. And then it equals the number 4. 4 deals with communication, deals with television, radio, and we know Oprah, she's been on it since, you know what I'm saying? She's been doing a big job. But in the Chaldean system, her name adds up to the number 23. And in the mystical system of number 23, 23 is the number of the royal star of the lion. That anything they do, whatever they put their mind to, the 23 in numerology is one of the most successful numbers in numerical history. Michael Jordan held the number 33. Kobe Bryant was born on the 23rd. Ray Charles is born on the 23, but Oprah holds it in the Chaldean system of the number 23, which is the royal star of the lion or the lioness. And Haile Selassie of Ethiopia was born on the 23rd. And that 23 equals the number 5, and 5 deals with communication. It also deals with the need to write, the need to adapt and be able to improvise and adapt and overcome anything that is presented to them. And we know Oprah have done a lot of that in her years. So big up to Oprah all the time, who my teacher have been on her show back in the day. Big up to Lloyd Strayhorn. Now, notice in both systems, the Pythagorean and the Chaldean, there seems to be a different equation for the 3 names. Well, that is why I always suggest that we learn the mathematical meanings of the name and use the multiple systems of numerology to see the broader picture from a holistic perspective. In certain systems, sometimes you can look at the first consonants and the vowels of the name and get a message. That is very interesting to me because sometimes you don't need the full name to break down somebody's name. All sometimes you just need is the consonants and the first vowel. Now, do you see how numbers can be used as a calculated guideline to alert us and give us direction on how we should navigate? Like I said before, numbers are here to help guide you and take you to where you gotta go if you're willing to apply these numbers. They're not here to control you. This allows us to recognize the various ways to see the uses of numbers. And now you have the basic tools to understand why your name is so important and how it is filled with numerical information that can help you and me. Hey, did you know that each one of your names are so important to use, even for business, even if you just want to use it for product development, depending, and especially even words that are connected, it's very important. But let's deal with the names, because I mentioned some names. I mentioned the different types of I mentioned each name represents something. It represents the first name representing the active name, the middle name representing the bridge. And remember, some people does not have a middle name. So usually what I've seen in my research is when people do not have a middle name, they can be a very intense individual because they're going from active to hereditary. So from their active name going on to what they've inherited from their mom, dad, or their family can be very interesting. So I pay close attention to when I'm doing sessions for people. And if I feel that their active name and their hereditary name doesn't support their birth name or their birthday, I will tell them to add a letter to their middle, to make it a middle letter in their name, like Michael B. Jordan, those type of ways. That's how I would add, because that adds a whole nother dimension if you just use the B. And if you add a letter, because each letter has a number connected to it, like A, B, C in the Pythagorean is connected to 1, 2, and 3. So in numerology, when it comes to your name, did you know that each letter could also represent the year from the time you were born all the way to the time you transition? That's how powerful you're. And because each letter equates to a number, that means if, let's say your name in the Pythagorean system started off with a T. In the Pythagorean system, the letter T equates to the number 2. So from the time you were born with that name, the 2 energy also resonates with you because T is the leading letter. If your name, let's say your name was Tyrone, the letter Y adds up to a number 7. So after the 2 years, the 7th year of that vibration of that letter kicks in, and so on and so forth. So any number that's connected to the letters in your name, each vibration takes up a certain amount of time of that particular name and how strong the active energy of that name is at that particular time. So again, T in the Pythagorean system is the number 2. So from the time you were born, if your name is Tyrone, the 2, which deals with sensitivity and companionship and the need for love, has to be given to that child born under the letter T in the Pythagorean system. And then after that 2 years, the 7-year cycle kicks in because the letter Y adds up to the number 7 or is connected to the number 7 in the Pythagorean system. And thus, 7 years of giving that child spirituality, religious values, showing them how to stay focused and how to calm down their energy. That's where the why leads to. And that's where a lot of questioning start happening, where the children start to question parents. Why I have to do this, mommy? Why should I do this, daddy? Why should I? Because 7 is that intuitive number that has, and a research number that has to look deeper than what they see from the surface stuff that's being given to them. So I'm just showing you how your active name and the letters also connected to it can be very important. And like I said earlier, sometimes we have people that do not have a bridge name. And usually when you have a bridge is, as we all know, when we drive over a bridge, the bridge is there to help us to connect us from one land